Mr. Hirsch always believed that fundraising was the most important thing and that the mission meant getting together and getting it done. He wanted nothing too fancy and nothing cumbersome. The cause was always first and foremost in his mind. So is this nothing fancy or what? I think we nailed it. A couple of months ago, I hosted a dinner for some friends of mine to educate them on JNF, and I was trying to think of what people's impressions were of the organization. And the first thing that came to mind was that people always go, aren't those the tree people? And my first thoughts was that kind of trivialized the cause and probably marginalized it somewhat. And I said, God, there's so much more to that. And then I started realizing that it's not so bad to be the tree people.
Ambassador, this award portrays the full tree and blossoming reeds. Ambassador Rita Mansour, Israeli Consul General to the Southeast, Tree of Life Award, Atlanta, Georgia, April 24th, 2010. You have served Israel well. Atlanta is proud of its commitment to civil and human rights. A lasting legacy is one that stretched hand.
I feel like our President Shimon Peres once said that one of these visits in the United States, that at some point he came to the podium and he totally blacked out. And he called the young guy there and he said, just tell me where I am and what I'm supposed to speak about. So it's been like this. We were here in this city actually 2 days ago celebrating our Memorial Day with probably 800 people. Yesterday we were celebrating the Independence Day, but also something similar of numbers. This morning, this amazing event. And this at noon I'm having my monthly meeting with the Atlanta Consular Corps, an event that we organized. Also, it's going to be going like this probably till we leave in July. The JNF has always played a major part in my life. You heard before that I grew up in a small village, which is now a bigger town of Osofia, right on the peak of Mount Carmel. And the Sofia, if you know the Carmel area, the Carmel is the biggest national park of Israel. And the Sofia is right there in the middle of the park. So I grew up watching JNF projects all around the town. The JNF taking care of the Carmel Mountain, which has an amazing historical heritage to it. And it was always interesting for me. I still remember as a child, those people who spoke a different language, came from a different country, and used to come and dedicate forces and put flags in the middle of the forest that we didn't understand, as kids, what was going on there. Later, I only understood that these were representatives of different Jewish communities from the United States who were actually supporting this activity that we were watching around us. And I come from a family which was very impressed from organizations like the JNF and the way they really built Israel. Ben-Gurion has said once that the force of a national movement will always be judged by two things. One is how do you convert speech to action, because all of us can speak for hours and say beautiful things and never do anything. But that's just the first phase. The second phase is how do you make your action meaningful and goes to a specific target and important direction. I think if we judge the JNF, we will see that it has been an amazing power of building Israel from north to south, the millions of trees that were planted, the new direction in the desert, the projects where now people like the president of China, when they come to Israel, they ask to go to JNF projects because they heard about the reputation and the things that the JNF is doing to make the desert bloom. And as we speak, Israelis are growing fish farms in the middle of the desert. They're growing sweet watermelons like the one that you are eating right in the middle of the desert for the first time ever using brackish water. So the JNF has been really an amazing force. And I think in a way, that kind of tradition and culture touched my own family. And we are this month in a spree of very honorable achievements. Yesterday, one of my uncles received, Kamal Mansour, who was for many years assistant to the Israeli president, received the Israeli prize, which is our highest medal of honor in Israel. And that was a very proud moment for the family. 2 months ago, another uncle of mine, Walid Mansour, who used to be our ambassador in Peru, participated in a very special ceremony to dedicate now one of these dedication of forests in Israel on his name that was done by the Jewish community in Lima on the Carmel. And for me, receiving this prize is closing the circle that started when I was a very young boy in Sophia, playing, not understanding the world around, but being impressed of what I've seen. I want to thank you for amazing 4 years. By now, I know many people. I have a lot of good friends sitting around these tables. Atlanta was a great home for me and for my family. This community is really an amazing community, and it should take its place in the leading communities of the United States. And it's playing a major role in making sure that the U.S. and Israel will continue to have a very important relationship. I always tell people that Israel-American relationship doesn't start in D.C. It starts in places like these, where people are coming together to build meaningful things that will be good for their own kids and families here in America, and they will be good for us there in Israel. The Israeli-U.S. relationship is a grassroots movement. It happens in every small town, village, and city in the United States and in Israel. And it brings us together really in amazing ways that you don't see many times between two countries. I've served in other countries, and I've seen what does it mean when you have just a formal diplomatic relationship, just a political kind of relationship. So thank you for everything you do. In Israel, we always understand the importance of this support. We understand that we can't do it alone. We understand that doing it from here, 10,000 miles away, it's really something that calls for inspiration. It's not easy to wake up so early in the morning, and believe me, I know what you did this morning. I'm not a morning person myself, so I appreciate everyone who dedicated this morning so early to come here and participate in an event like this and make sure that Israel remains strong, one tree after the other, one facility in the Negev after the other, and it's always will be about building. Israel will always be a symbol of what you could do in 62 years, really, to take a piece of land that wasn't developed, that was neglected for hundreds of years, and bring it to be one of the 20 most developed nations in the world, one of the most technologically advanced, a nation that still put high value on these kind of important human aspects as well, and sensitivity, although it's still fighting for its survival. Thank you very much.
Jay, could you come forward, please? Jay initially learned of the JNF in Hebrew school, and we started buying JNF stamps for 10 cents each to buy trees. He said recently that he planted his first tree in Israel some 40 years ago, and this May, he's going to go back to Israel to try and find that tree. Over the years, Jay has worked with over a dozen JNF presidents and currently serves on the board. But most significantly, he is a mensch in business, in community, and in his personal life. As we read in Kedoshim this week, you shall be holy. Jay is holy in all of his deeds and tireless community works. And with the utmost humility, it gives me great pleasure to present on behalf of my brother Perry, and in memory of our parents, the Isaac and Betty Good Friends Jewish National Fund Community Service